Hello folks, shintigercurl here, that dude in the straw hat, bringing you yet another wrestling review. I'm of course joined by my roommate and fellow internet superstar, Joe. Say hi, Joe. He wants some lager. It's Thursday night. You know what that means. Time for some Impact Wrestling. Sunday's Destination X was a big success for them, being their best pay-per-view of the year so far. Well, it's probably going to be their best pay-per-view bar none, given their track record. So, how are they going to follow it up? I got my notes. Let's get started. Immortal comes out, dressed to the nines in suits and tuxedos. Abyss looking like he just pulled his out of some dog vomit on the street. And flanked by a bunch of beautiful girls we'll never see again. Once again, it's time for Hogan and Eric to remind the Impact audience how big their dicks are. Yes, sir, time for some dick stroking. And they come out how they say they did brilliantly and blah blah this and blah blah that. So they call Mr. Anderson out, who apparently is a redneck now since he's wearing a camouflage tuxedo. Must be from the Larry the Cable Guy fall lineup of tuxedos. Anyway, they congratulate him and welcome him into the family until the lights go out and Joker Sting appears. He says that tonight he will be guaranteed to walk out of the Impact Zone with the belt. Hogan threatens him. But as you may know, a threat from Hogan is about as dangerous as, well, a threat from the Care Bears. Not just something you laugh at. He says that tonight he has some backup and points to the rafters, and we see a bunch of guys dressed in dark clothes with clown masks, who I have dubbed ninja clowns. That's right, the stealthy deadliness of a ninjas with the creepiness of clowns. So, lights go out, Sting vanishes again, taking his ninja clowns with him. Didn't like this. Didn't like it at all. First matchup, Bound for Glory Series match. A triple threat match. The Pope versus Robert Roode versus Samoa Joe. It should be noted that these three are the only ones on the entire Bound for Glory who in the entire Bound for Glory series have yet to score any points. So they really need this match. This was a pretty good match so far. It was a pretty good match. Nothing spectacular about it. All three men are wrestling as best as their abilities can muster. The end comes when Samoa Joe locks in the Coquina clutch on Robert Roode. He tries to throw him over, but his feet kind of hit the ropes, knocking the Pope off the apron. The way he went about it, Joe's shoulders got pinned down. The ref counted 1, 2, 3 just before Bobby Roode tapped out. So Robert Roode has 7 points. He's out of the gutter. Joe is upset and gets into Earl Hebner's face, the referee. The refs come and they have to hold Earl back from Joe. Damn. Really, I mean, who believes anything Joe does now? He is in such a slump now. I mean, the guy he's been booked so poorly that the guy couldn't beat Eric. I mean, how could anyone believe he could beat Earl Hebner? Right now, Joe couldn't beat his dick, and that's saying something. Next up, we get some backstage Immortal bullshit as Hogan orders that Joker Sting needs to be taken out. So he sicks his boys on him. The Jarretts return from their vacation in Mexico, and they have a special present for Hogan. There's some Pope backstage crap between himself and Devon's sons. Devon then calls out Pope about last week when he gave away points and he calls the Pope an utter dumbass. Truthfully, I think that at one point Abyss decides to challenge Brian Kendrick to a rematch from this Sunday where he lost the X Division title. But instead he gets turned into Ninja Clown victim number 1. Next matchup, Shannon Moore versus the recently signed Austin Aries. Not the best matchup for AEW, and this guy can put on some great matches. It just seems sloppy. A few botches here and there. The end comes when Austin hit Shannon Moore with his chain that holds up his book of Dillygaff, and then hits a springboard spiral moonsault. 1, 2, 3, AEW wins. Alex Shelley confronts him about this, but Austin shrugs it off. Next up is more backstage stuff, as Scott Steiner is trying to show off to a girl backstage, and he gets taken out by another Ninja Clown. Next match, Madison Rayne versus Tara. Yeah, I've seen better. We're just going to skip that little unpleasant little piece of crap. Next up, Kurt Angle comes out. Cuts a promo saying that deciding who he wants, since he is the #1 contender right now, and he has a title shot at Hardcore Justice in a couple of weeks, he's deciding on who he wants to win tonight's title match. While he and Anderson have some unfinished business to attend to, harkening back to their epic steel cage match they had at last year's Lockdown. He also says he has some issues with Sting, seeing as how even though they were both part of the Main Event Mafia, he has never beaten Sting. So either way, he'll be happy. Next up, the Jarretts, seeing the writing on the wall, decide to head back over the border, running from the Ninja Clowns. And lo and behold, one of them was hiding in their SUV. Jeff tries to fight, but fucking Ninja Clowns. And he gets dragged away screaming into the darkness. Next match, the Mexas, aka Mexican America, take on the British Invasion for the #1 contendership to the Tag Team Champion titles. Now, still subpar match. The Brits were trying to get a good match, but Anarchia just is not a good wrestler. The end comes when Sarita or Rosita, or whichever one of those bitches, I don't really care, comes and interferes. And this allows Mexican America to pick the win. If you can't tell, I don't really care for Mexican America. Next up, excuse me. Backstage, only Bully Ray and Gunner remain. Gunner decides that he's going to go hunting for the Ninja Clowns, while Bully decides not to. He calls out all the Ninja Clowns, armed with a pipe. The clowns come out snapping their fingers. Apparently they just finished watching West Side Story or something. And they proceed to gang beat him down. Then as they beat him down, they take off their masks to reveal Fortune. That's right, Fortune were the Ninja Clowns. Not sure how I feel about that. Main event, Sting versus Anderson. World title on the line. This was not a good match. Very boring. I just didn't care for it. Anyway, the end comes when the ref takes a bump. Bully Ray comes in the ring to beat the crap out of Sting with his chain. Lights go out, and in comes a fifth Ninja Clown. He takes out Bully Ray, and lights go out. The Ninja Clown's at the top of the stairs. Sting hits the Scorpion Death Drop. 1, 2, 3. Sting's the new world champion. Then it's revealed that the fifth Ninja Clown is in reality Kurt Angle. My thoughts, and that's Impact. My thoughts, bad show. Very bad show. The wrestling was subpar. Storyline seemed to drag on, and too many of those fucking commercials where wrestling matters. This show made me sick. I mean, and I've also mentioned this before on the forums, but Ken Anderson's both of his title runs have been less than memorable. In fact, I really can't remember any really good matches he's had as champion. It's a shame too, when his first title run is only defined by feuding with a drug addict, and his second title run was only possible because of shitty officiating and the referee was a dumbass. Now he had to go down to friggin' Joker Sting. I'll be glad when this Sunday comes. Yes, I will. But anyway, I know I'm ending this kind of early, but damn it, this show's got me so boring I can barely keep my eyes open. But yeah, that's Impact. Tune in tomorrow as I review SmackDown. It's the go-home show for the Money in the Bank. How will Christian assert himself for his title match? How will the Money in the Bank participants deal with it? And will they have ice cream bars? Well, we'll find out tomorrow. Until then, it's the shintigercurl, that dude in the straw hat, and Joe saying goodnight and wrestle on.